Uh,
You
CEO,
got
you on?
the agenda, Philip?
Negative. I'm pulling it up. You can commence. We're already broadcasting.
Okay. So this is our first meeting of the new year. It's our second first meeting. Call the meeting to order. Roll call. Sam Bolden, CEO, co-founder, present.
CFO Philip Chandler and Chief of Operations present. Brandon, now you have sound?
I, I think I'm getting it now. Say that again.
We just did roll call.
Okay, I'm present. Yeah.
Acknowledge your existence. Okay, for your presence.
Okay. Approval of minutes from last meeting and brief synopsis of last meeting. Philip, it was your last meeting.
Last meeting we just discussed a few of the things we wanted to improve this year, some of the lessons we learned, and some of the things we hope to achieve. And we just discussed some of the weaknesses of our corporation and just discussed opportunities on how to move past those. Some of them were team related, some of them were operation related, some of them were personal, but we worked through them and we reaffirmed our resolve to continue doing business this year and to make those improvements and adjustments. That is a conclusion of the synopsis of last meeting.
Okay. Vote to approve the synopsis.
Second. All in favor? I approve it. Clearly passes.
Okay. So proposal for amendments to the agenda, move to accept the agenda as written.
I move that we accept the agenda as written.
I second.
Okay. Third. Old business, open issues. I put down weekly reports by each founder, questions and answers.
Cool. Well, if that's the case, I'll start. At this point, there's not much new that I really have to report. I mean, I've already put my content together for my PowerPoint when it's time for me to present that to the group. Other than that, I'm just putting making it look kind of shiny. But other than that, I've already put my stuff together for the most part for that. I'm getting more information, but it seems to be conflicting. You see what I'm saying? Information as far as what's going on in New York. In one half, it seems to be eco-friendly. On another half, there's actually a growing population that's saying, eco-friendly what? We ain't about no eco-friendly. We're about this gas, this natural gas, and this oil over here. You better quit playing with me. So it's conflicting information. Who's who? I don't know. I won't know until we actually meet politicians, meet the people on the ground to figure out what's really going on. Other than that, that's all I've been doing so far. I mean, I'm gonna have to figure out new goals, and I'll talk to you guys about where we go forward from here. That's all I have to say.
Sounds good.
From operations and the financial aspects, I have been just monitoring the progress of the team as usual. I have been building out financial models and at least potential models that I would like to have the founders and the stockholders approve with their consent and everything as we move forward. And that's all that's new. Well, I've personally been using the work log as a journal, as I would encourage other members of the operations team, of our team, to use as a way of tracking your progress, your personal progress, and tracking the progress through history, because history is an important aspect of the corporation. We don't understand that, not from a personal aspect, but from a financial aspect. It's very important, and also from as we move toward seeking investors, they're going to want to know kind of how we've been spending our time. What's the largest, what are the greatest challenges we face, and things like that. And it helps to have those notes and to be to make sure that we're all prepared whenever we may sit down in front of potential investors and kind of discuss the development of the company, because they're going to want to know, key points of information. So the more information we personally gather in an organized fashion, the better. So that's just what we've been doing. Excuse me, what I've been doing on the operations and finance side. That's new.
I've been this past week. I've really been taking a note to just focus on where we go as we continue on our path of success. What are the things that we necessarily need to look at? Me, I'm looking at start using my log again this week, or the time log this week, being more diligent in that. Making it a point to save everything across all my devices, phone, tablets, so that when I don't have internet connection, as in New York City, when you're underground, I can still look at things and work on things, get in that habit, because I want to go a lot, and it's just looking into some of the things I'm about to get into in a moment.
All right.
You falling asleep there, Brandon?
Not yet, man. Not yet. Still awake.
But questions and answers on anything for the weekly review. I actually put that in there just in case you guys wanted to talk about anything.
I have no questions to answer. I think you're going to answer a lot of my questions in the CEO review.
Yeah, I will.
I don't have any questions or any concerns at this point involving where we are today.
Okay. All right, cool. So moving on to item number 6, CEO review. Introduction of 2016 rollout. I'm just going to try to do this in 10 minutes. If I go over by a minute, please don't crucify me. But our direction, as I've been looking at Drive, talking with Robert, I didn't get a chance to talk with you, Brandon. I apologize, but I definitely want to talk with you next week. But I kind of just already had what I needed to a degree. I wasn't assuming, but I heard what you said last week and something. And our direction for this year is, finish up the business plan. Okay, it's a living document. We're going to be working on it constantly, all of us. The website development, getting the website up, getting the website published, getting it out there, getting our trademark, everything that we need for that. And then business development from a strategic standpoint is partnerships. Once those things are done, it's talking about, talking to EB Drive, meeting with them face to face. Local and state politicians, Brandon, that's your forte. I really want to talk with you about that, and I really want to start looking at that. Potential, DK Mills, as you know, Philip, that we met a gentleman who's an NYU law student at one point, and just thinking about managing partners, board members, that this will all help lead to our rollout, and then attracting funding, public and private investors, etc. And for that to be the direction as we move into the springtime, as we move into the direction of looking at, eventually our manufacturing contracts lining up on points of payment, etc., and things of that nature. And the reason why that came to my mind was because me and Robert had a phone call last week, earlier this week. Wow, the days are just blending. Where we were literally exhausted on the phone, probably half falling asleep on each other, but our minds were saying one thing, and our mouths were saying one thing, our hearts were saying one thing, and it's our partnerships. What are they? Who are they? Who are we overlooking? Who are we missing? Who do we need to start, beginning to think about and look at going forward? What does that look like as a cohesive unit, as one governing body over this? And that was when I heard, Brandon in the back of my head, I heard hearing voices, right? Brandon saying, hey, when am I going to be at the forefront in what I can do for this? Because we're missing the legislative side. And, I really feel confident that those are the things that we can start focusing on and start to prepare as we, put the finish touches on the business plan and everything as we move out of that into the next, month or so or 2 months or whatever. That could be the next focus that we begin to start lining up, notes and links and taking name everything on. So that's that. Any feedback on that? And I'm asking for feedback because I just gave a lot.
On the operations, I'll be the first to give feedback. I'm pleased as an owner and as a team member and as an executive within the company to see that we are reaching and uh, growing and everything and expanding and looking to build those partnerships. I'm glad we're moving in that direction. We're focusing on that. That's a core part of our corporation. It always will be. And I'm glad to see that you and Robert are really on the ball in doing that and sort of, kind of filling our way through the dark. And I know sometimes it's a scary experience, sometimes it's unpleasant, and everything, but it's necessary. And I commend you guys both for um, moving forward with the courage to go out and do that and to take your jobs and everything. I mean, just take our company seriously and actually get out there and move beyond the sheltered, kind of protected aspects of the company. And I'm glad that you guys are doing that. One note of concern that I know that you'll take seriously because things come, you're a good CEO in that capacity, or in many capacities, but certainly in the capacity to where you listen to the team members and you do the best to assuage our concerns. And that's, EV Drive is important, but I want to know what will happen if our company goes, if excuse me, EV Drive goes belly up. I understand they're the prime um, part, parties in our partnership, but that's a vulnerability that in time I like to see us cover and everything. And I know that you guys will eventually get to another company. I don't care where they are in the world. We mentioned Iceland once upon a time, not Iceland, but maybe it was Iceland. I don't know. We talk about it a lot in the global sphere, but certainly, finding us an alternate.
It was Iceland.
It was Iceland. Okay, an alternate supply route, for our products and everything. But I know that you guys will get there, and that's really all my feedback. But I'll say thank you guys. Appreciate that. That goes a long way. I'm done.
Brandon? He's good. Okay. So, with that being said, I'm going to touch base on the business development aspect, CEO and Chief Business Development Officer. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. What are we doing? Are we doing anything to make sure that, how are you guys preserving the integrity of our sources? That's really a question that Brandon
Meaning,
should be asking. But are we
meaning,
reporting, like, meaning the data that we're getting from, or the information that we're giving? Are we verifying the information that we're getting in? Do you guys have any measures that are in place to like ensure that we don't have people that even in EV drivers or even in the partnerships and everything that kind of think they know the answer and they're saying like kind of just maybe kind of just trying to pacify us a little bit or kind of that person's only been there for a week or a month or whatever that doesn't fully know you know within the company do we have multiple um, persons and contacts that we are kind of storing in an unofficial or database or whatever that we can verify information with later on.
well, in terms of how that applies to EV Drive, one of the things that I've been strategizing with, I've been talking to a couple of mechanical engineers locally here in New York and just getting their perspective on engineering as an aspect. And one gentleman who's in the Navy, who I hope to meet tonight at that date with my girl, besides being with my girl, there's also a gentleman there that I want to meet. Her friend's fiance, a literal brother, black man who's a Navy mechanical engineer, and she really feel that he and I connecting will be a great thing. And one of the things that I've been talking to a couple of engineers about is just, what to look out for when we talk to automotive engineers. And I want to meet with a local college here that has an automotive technician program. Of course, discussing with the team first and seeing how that meeting will look, maybe flying Phil or Brandon or someone out here, when that meeting happens. So I've also been looking at, as far as protecting the information, I've also been looking at prepping us so that when we have that conversation, we only have but so much on the phone, and then once we go to sign things, non-disclosures are signed and legally binding, so that nothing is taken away from it. So that's happening. To come to that point, we have EV Drive list of clients, and before we EV Drive, we just say this EV Drive, and that was my thinking for that. I hope that's a good strategy. If you feel it's not, if you feel it is, and we want to add to it, let's definitely do that.
Okay, I was getting some interference on my end. I will go back and play back this meeting a little bit to see if it's gotten there, or at least if it was recorded. Okay, well, we'll definitely keep abreast on that, and we'll talk a little bit more. And you mentioned this is your meeting. I'm not trying to put too much of my concerns out there or whatever, but we need to isolate a date in which we are going to come down for our first quarter meeting. And I guess we need to kind of start thinking about if we're going to figure out who's going to be joining me. I'm definitely going to be there. I have to go for the first quarter. Brandon hasn't been down there in a while, not with us. Robert's hooked up with us, or at least with me in New York. So he's hooked up with 2 of the team members in New York. But we need to figure out eventually what day we're going to go ahead and fly down so we can get that well in advance. I'm thinking January, February, March. I'm thinking maybe the end of March. Yes, for the first quarter.
Yeah, because by that time, I'll have some of my vacation days, so I could take some time off if need be.
Well, I mean, we're on the record, but it's just, just for the record, I'm coming up for Intercorp. I'm not coming up to see yourself.
You know what?
I said I'm coming up to for Intercorp business. I'm not coming up to see yourself.
Okay. All right. So,
do we have any idea though, before we even set dates? All this is wonderful setting dates, but you got to have a plan. So we're going to do New York Intercorp to do what?
We're going up there to make connections. I mean, you work backwards. You have a plan, and then you develop everything between now and 3 months to say, you know what, Mr. Senator, Mr. Representative, I'd like to come and talk to you about an opportunity that our company has established. Would you be interested in making the meeting on March 25th? That's an example.
That's what you mean. In other words, we're creating our stakeholder base now. We're actually making the partnership legit now. So now is actually the time we need to be.
Whoa! Wait! We're not reaching out yet until the website is up and running. Until our digital imprint, our footprint is there for us to direct people to read something and start sending out marketing materials that we're going to be developing. Not yet, but it is looking forward for that meeting to happen. So now it's just gathering, putting together a customer relationship management tool through Insightly, putting the names, the title, the email, and the people that we will be reaching out to.
Mm-hmm. Right, and another thing, I mean, in business, you have to get accustomed to developing things, and then whenever the time is right, you jump on it, but you still set a deadline and kind of work backwards. So, if we set a March deadline for our first quarter to go up there and make, to establish, some connections, then yes, we expect things to be ready by February by any means necessary, and, we set deadlines and we kind of progress forward. But we have to be able to manage a long-term agenda, and not just not put something on the agenda or on a longer-term agenda because things aren't all the way in place. If obviously, if we don't have things in place by then we cancel that March trip. But at least we understand now that we have things we want to be ready by the end of the first quarter.
Okay.
All right. So it's basically we have like I don't know March, April, whenever that date coming up, that tentative date, which will come up. We'll lock it in stone soon. It's not in stone, but the but the I want to say target is there, and we've already said that today. So now it's a matter of preparing so that when that happens, we're ready to initiate as a stage roll. So that's a really good point, fellas. As far as the
Sure.
business
I mean,
plan,
I don't want to spend too much time any much further on this, but we already have some stakeholders that we're looking at, people that we're kind of grooming. So even if they don't know us, we know that we've been partnering with we talked about the Tax and Limousine Commission. We have still talked about some of the automotive engineering programs, that we're looking to work with. We still kind of talked about those. So even just paying a visit to those facilities, just with a backpack on and a pair of denim jeans, kind of scoping out the place and just looking around and maybe kind of taking the temperature. That's something that has to be done like in person. I can take the temperature, Sam can take the temperature, but we're not going to be the ones like working the thermometer. We might hold it, but what I'm saying, you're gonna be the ones that kind of taking the reading. So it's it's still pertinent. There's business. There's business.
so um, that's a really great thing, guys, and that's a really great focus to have going forward. Thank you so much. As far as the business plan, me and Robert are definitely working more towards the marketing plan. Getting feedback from a marketing expert that he knows. So we want to have that framework, and then we'll be able to tailor suit it from there. Even though we were ready to put our own in play, he said, hey, let's get a third set of eyes on this. Someone who doesn't have things with marketing is that it's easy to have an internal objective opinion and everything and miss some of the blind spots. So we decided to do that, and then that's going to come up. And then I've also printed out the business plan. I have it in a binder in 3 places, and I'm just looking at it and comparing it with. I want to say it from of an objective standpoint that I'm having a devil's advocate almost standpoint as I read it, and I'm making a bunch of notes and things that I'm going to be putting together. And you're going to have to give me honestly, I want to say a good 30 days or so, because as I'm looking at it, I'm realizing, okay, what about this? What about that? What about that? Because we are building this company with the full intent of for people to come after eventually, want to offer to buy it from us, want to merge it, want to make it stronger, want to et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, with our stakeholders, our partners. I'm not saying that, we're all leaving, but we want to position it in the best way possible. And if we do that objectively from a standpoint of, oh, I'm going to be the CEO and one of the primary and one of the I want to say stockholders and one of the founders. But what if a company approaches it? Am I really looking at this saying, okay, let's merge, let's this, let's that? So it's me looking at it from that standpoint, and I'm kind of creating like a second vision on it. And that's something that me and Robert are talking about as we look at things. And I encourage everyone to look at that as we get to see that come into play. I'm not making no changes on it. This is all written, and I scan copies and put it into the drive so you can see the scanned copies. Um, Website development. Um, so far, I actually showed a couple of people. First, I showed my girl, I showed my dad, I showed a couple of people the website, and they actually love it. They actually like to make the switch trademark. People were really, really open to that. It was three people: mom, dad, and my lady. And something that dad did say about the website, he said, let's not forget to also in the about us section or the strategy section or whatever section we're going to have this in, have a page where they can brand it. We can write a page for with a sublink that we could send our marketing to those legislative people who hold the positions in New York and our politicians. And that was a very interesting thing that he brought up because he does work with attorneys. And he said that, a lot of times we'll have the whole business aspect and the public aspect and everything like that, but there's a certain way that it'll look just to speak to the officials and politicians. So that's something I wanna bring up.
I think those are great ideas. Yeah, we were talking about the business plan. Like I said, I want to say first and foremost, great idea on the keeping it simple. Getting the hard copy, making the edits. Taking the time with it. I appreciate that. That's gonna great job. I like the strategy. I think it's A1. I don't think we can have a better strategy. Good job on that. And with the wow, geez. Yeah, and it's not even like it's yeah, it's still in progress. But yeah, and on
There's a
the
lot
on
of
the
room
on
in
the
that
web,
binder, but I put it in a big one, knowing it'll be more pages to add.
yeah, on the website, yeah, I was actually wondering kind of how we would progress on the website. Definitely, we want to get the about section and everything together. We will, and I personally I know the gentleman that Robert was speaking to. He's actually a former business partner of ours. And we worked together, and he did a lot of good job with our marketing before, and helping us get contracts by us, marketing ourselves pretty well. So, you know, definitely, you and Robert sound like you guys are really really doing a great job, and like I said, I just keep up the good work.
Okay. Business logo. I put that back on the agenda only because I didn't see it on the website, and I was wondering if we wanted to incorporate that maybe in the top. I don't know. Once we have a trademark, maybe like placement of it somewhere along the way. Have you had a chance to look at the logo, Brandon?
No. Oh,
Okay. I believe Phil. Did you send it out yet?
I sent it's in our mailbox. It may be under the business development aspect now. I've
Okay.
reshuffled the mailbox, so it should be somewhere within the business development um,
Okay.
subfolder and everything. And yeah, and we'll get that there. And it's kind of there's a lot to personify, and kind of mix it, merging it all together and everything. Certainly we'll get it, but just yeah, finding the right place to kind of put it because it's so unique. Our logo is really really, or the logo design that we're looking at is really it's sufficient enough to hold like on its own. If anything, I mean, it would be really really great to have it like sort of in the background and then like everything else kind of overlaid. That would be kind of nice. But it's kind of the technology and everything like that, and kind of integrating it is kind of tricky. So, but certainly,
What
you
what
know,
I was thinking was that on certain pages, instead of it being a blue or gray or green background, the logo could be the background into the website. And maybe it could be like somewhere on the front, somewhere placed strategically, because I like that first page how you put that together. But again, let's just play around with it. That's just a random idea. That's not a thing I'm asking to vote on or set in stone, but just one of those things to just consider. Um, questions and answers.
I say great idea. I like the flexibility. I like the flexibility our CEO was bringing in 2016. And all and all his extra work. I appreciate that.
Brandon, I'm placing too much work already. Brandon, huh, Brandon?
Man, we have a work cut out for us, that's for sure. But that's the way we got to do it to get it off the ground. Get where we need to be.
I'm gonna say this that you know um, I really am because of the strategy of having you who would be possibly so that you might even be able to pass the bar without going to law school. It's a little strategy I want to discuss with you on our call. You know, it's one of those things that you can actually pass the bar in 4 states, and then once you're admitted to the bar, you can practice, do certain things, and then it'll make us a stronger team. But it'll circumvent 4 years of law school. If you Google something about Google,
I know what you're talking about. I mean, states like Virginia is like that. In the state of Virginia, you don't have to go to law school to pass the bar. If you can take the bar and pass the bar, you can become a licensed practicing lawyer. But yeah, so you can do that. However, the only challenge is when you go and pass the bar, that doesn't mean you understand the law. And the purpose of law school is to help you to break down and understand the law in the state that you're in. It's not just constitutional law. You got to think about the state's laws. Like the laws in New York are completely different from the laws of the state in Arkansas or even in Texas. We have different laws to different things. Like for example, my concealed carry license is good for Arkansas, but it holds no weight in the state of New York because I cannot carry a small arm into the state of New York. The state of New York has actually said that they do not really honor anybody's concealed carries. You cannot bring a gun legally, supposedly, into the state of New York, even though it's registered. They're gonna say, you gotta buy you a gun right in New York registered. So
you have to start the process over in New York. But what I'm saying is that it won't make us law experts, but it'll give us a little bit more staying power as an executive team is what I'm saying. Just something to consider as another tool in our belt.
Okay.
That's all.
I think it's a good strategy. It's a good strategy. It'll give us some clout.
Yeah, it's something I'm really thinking about because you are going to be sitting down. We're all going to be sitting down. We're eventually going to have a leader. If people talk to us from certain aspects and know it and be able to go from there, you know. But again, this is just something that I definitely want to put out there. Okay.
Okay. All right. Anything else, guys, that we want to say before we close out this meeting today?
Nothing more on my end. Certainly, Sam, I see the purpose behind the strategic thought. And I mean, I'll air a little more caution in my operations and CFO's meeting, but there's no saying this is a little learning is a dangerous thing, and a lot of times we can learn just enough to get us in trouble. But certainly, good strategy though. We want to have our reputation and everything above par, and our credibility is certainly above par as well. But aside from that, I think I've said everything I have to say in the meeting.
You're breaking up, Phil. Are you saying anything? Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and so questions and answers are done. Meeting adjourned.
Yes, adjourned.
Okay.
I second that.
Who's gonna go ahead and close us? Who's gonna go ahead and close us out?
I guess I never really pray, so now I guess it'll be my turn to today. I don't think I can do it as well as everybody else. But hey, let me
Come on, brother Phil, walk us in the light.
All right, then, man. All right, well, let's talk about our head in a moment to give grace and to give thanks to our Creator and our Lord God. Heavenly Father, we come before you giving thanks to you for the gifts that you bestowed upon us. We ask that you continue to guide us and allow us to use our gifts positively to support each other, to support our communities, to be the men that you fashioned us in the eternal place that you knew us before we were created. We ask that you just allow us to continue to be strong and to be always forgiving and to always be compassionate and to just do your will. We ask that you extend your hedge of safety upon our families, our loved ones, though we are far, and just strengthen us along this journey that we do not quit, that we continue to just give grace and glory to you. And these are our blessings we ask in your holy son's name. Amen.
Man.
All right. We'll see you guys later.